Greetings and welcome. Today we journey into the heart of a parable told by Jesus, found in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 25, verses 14 to 30. Matthew 25, 14, 30, KJV. This is the parable of the talents, a story as relevant today as it was centuries ago. Matthew 25, 14, 30, KJV. In this narrative, a wealthy master entrusts his servants with varying sums of money. Matthew 25, 15, KJV. He then embarks on a journey. Matthew 25, 15, KJV. His instructions are clear: use these talents wisely. Matthew 25, 16, 18, KJV. Invest them, make them grow. Matthew 25, 16, 18, KJV. The parable unfolds upon the master's return, revealing how each servant fared in his absence. Matthew 25, 19, 23, KJV. It's a story rich in symbolism, with profound implications for our lives today. Matthew 25, 24, 30, KJV. Each servant receives a different number of talents, a measure of wealth in that era. Matthew 25, 15. The first receives 5 talents, the second 2, and the third just 1. Matthew 25, 15. The talents represent the gifts, resources, and opportunities bestowed upon us by God. 1 Peter 4:10. They vary from person to person. Romans 12, 6. This difference underscores a crucial point. God equips us uniquely for our individual callings. 1 Corinthians 12, 4, 6. He knows our strengths, our limitations, and our potential. Psalm 139, 1, 4. The master's departure signifies a period of testing and growth for the servants. James 1, 3, 4. They are entrusted with responsibility and must prove themselves faithful stewards. 1 Corinthians 4, 2. Though set in a bygone era, the parable of the talents transcends time. For the kingdom of heaven is as a man traveling into a far country, who called his own servants and delivered unto them his goods. Matthew 25, 14, KJV. It speaks to fundamental truths about our relationship with God, our use of resources, and our accountability to our Creator. And unto one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, and to another 1, to every man according to his several ability. Matthew 25, 15, KJV. The talents in our lives are not limited to material possessions. Then he that had received the 5 talents went and traded with the same, and made them other 5 talents. Matthew 25, 16, KJV. They encompass our abilities, skills, knowledge, time, and influence. After a long time the Lord of those servants cometh, and reckoneth with them. Matthew 25, 19, KJV. The parable challenges us to consider, how are we using what we've been given? His Lord said unto him, Well done, thou good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things. Matthew 25, 21, KJV. Are we investing our talents wisely, multiplying them for the benefit of others and the glory of God? For unto every one that hath shall be given, and he shall have abundance. Matthew 25, 29, KJV. These questions form the crux of our exploration today. Now let's delve into the heart of our parable and explore the concept of stewardship. What does it mean to be a steward? In biblical terms, a steward is someone entrusted with something that doesn't belong to them. KJV, 1 Corinthians 4, 2. Moreover, it is required in stewards that a man be found faithful. They are caretakers, managers, entrusted with resources to be used responsibly. KJV, Luke 12, 42. And the Lord said, Who then is that faithful and wise steward, whom his Lord shall make ruler over his household, to give them their portion of meat in due season? The Apostle Peter reminds us in 1 Peter 4:10, As every man hath received the gift, even so minister the same one to another, as good stewards of the manifold grace of God. KJV, 1 Peter 4:10. This verse highlights our role as stewards of God's grace, bestowed upon us in countless forms. It's not just about material possessions. It's about our time, our abilities, our influence, every aspect of our being. KJV, Romans 12:6. Having then gifts differing according to the grace that is given to us, whether prophecy, let us prophesy according to the proportion of faith. We are called to use these gifts not for selfish gain, but to serve others and glorify God. KJV, 1 Peter 4:11. If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of God. If any man minister, let him do it as of the ability which God giveth, that God in all things may be glorified through Jesus Christ, to whom be praise and dominion forever and ever. Amen. The parable emphasizes that stewardship is not about the quantity of what we've been given, but how we use it. KJV, Matthew 25:21. His Lord said unto him, Well done, thou good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of thy Lord. The master doesn't commend the servants based on how much they earned, but on their faithfulness and diligence in investing what they had. KJV, Matthew 25:23. His Lord said unto him, Well done, good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of thy Lord. This principle applies to our lives today. KJV, Colossians 3:23. And whatsoever ye do, do it heartily as to the Lord and not unto men. Section 2, Faithful Stewardship, a tale of two servants. The first two servants, entrusted with 5 and 2 talents respectively, exemplify faithful stewardship. They understood their responsibility. Matthew 25:14-15 KJV. They didn't bury their talents or treat them with indifference. Matthew 25:18 KJV. Instead, they put them to work, investing them wisely. Matthew 25:16-17 KJV. The parable doesn't delve into the specifics of their investments, but it highlights their proactiveness and diligence. Matthew 25:19 KJV. They took risks, seized opportunities, and multiplied what they were given. Matthew 25:20-21 KJV. Their actions reflect the spirit of Proverbs chapter 10, verse 4. He becometh poor that dealeth with a slack hand, but the hand of the diligent maketh rich. Proverbs 10:4 KJV. Upon the master's return, these servants presented him with the fruits of their labor, a multiplication of what was initially entrusted to them. Their joy was evident. Matthew 25:19-20 KJV. They had not only been found faithful stewards, but had also experienced the satisfaction of seeing their efforts bear fruit. Matthew 25:21 KJV. This, in essence, is the reward of faithful stewardship, the joy of seeing God's resources used for His glory and the betterment of others. Matthew 25:23 KJV. Section 3, the seed of potential. The third servant, however, presents a stark contrast. Matthew 25:18. Entrusted with 1 talent, he chose to bury it, fearing risk and potential loss. Matthew 25:25. His actions reveal a fundamental misunderstanding of stewardship. Matthew 25:26. He viewed the talent as a burden, a source of anxiety, rather than an opportunity for growth. Matthew 25:24. His fear paralyzed him, preventing him from taking even the smallest step of faith. This inaction had consequences. Matthew 25:28-29. Upon the master's return, he was found wanting. Matthew 25:30. His talent left unused remained stagnant, failing to bear any fruit. Matthew 25:27. The master's rebuke is sharp, highlighting the missed opportunity. Matthew 25:26. Thou wicked and slothful servant, he says, emphasizing the servant's lack of initiative and his failure to understand the nature of the gift he had been given. Matthew 25:26. This part of the parable serves as a stark reminder. Every one of us is entrusted with potential. Matthew 25:15. Ignoring it, burying it out of fear or complacency only leads to stagnation. Matthew 25:18. True stewardship demands courage, diligence, and a willingness to step out in faith. Matthew 25:21. Section 1. The Reckoning. The master confronts the third servant. Matthew 25:26. His Lord answered and said unto him, Thou wicked and slothful servant. The air hangs heavy with unfulfilled potential. The master's words are sharp. Matthew 25:26. Thou knewest that I reap where I sowed not, and gather where I have not strawed. Thou wicked and slothful servant. These words cut to the heart. The master is concerned with the servant's failure to try. Matthew 25:27. Thou oughtest therefore to have put my money to the exchangers, and then at my coming I should have received mine own with usury. He knew his master's expectation of growth. The servant's inaction stemmed from fear. We are accountable for our actions. Romans 14:12. So then every one of us shall give account of himself to God. Hebrews chapter 4 verse 13 reminds us, Neither is there any creature that is not manifest in his sight, but all things are naked and opened unto the eyes of him with whom we have to do. Our actions have consequences. We cannot hide from our choices. Numbers 32:23. Be sure your sin will find you out. The parable challenges us. Are we burying our talents or investing them wisely? Matthew 25:29. For unto every one that hath shall be given, and he shall have abundance. But from him that hath not shall be taken away even that which he hath. Section 2. Beyond the material. Accountability in the parable of the talents extends beyond material wealth. Matthew 25:14-30. It encompasses every aspect of our lives. Romans 12:6-8. Our time, talents, abilities, influence, and resources are gifts. 1 Peter 4:10. We are accountable for how we use them. Colossians 3:23-24. Are we investing in things that matter? Matthew 6:19-21. Or squandering on fleeting pleasures? Proverbs 21:17. Section 3. Sowing and reaping. The principle of sowing and reaping is a recurring theme in Scripture. Galatians 6:7, KJV states, For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. This applies to all aspects of life. Sowing faithfulness, diligence, and generosity reaps blessings. Proverbs 11:18, KJV says, The wicked worketh a deceitful work, but to him that soweth righteousness shall be a sure reward. Conversely, sowing laziness and greed reaps bitter consequences. Proverbs 13:4 KJV states, The soul of the sluggard desireth and hath nothing, but the soul of the diligent shall be made fat. Accountability is about love and responsibility. Use gifts wisely for God's glory. 1 Peter 4:10 KJV says, As every man hath received the gift, even so minister the same one to another, as good stewards of the manifold grace of God. It's a privilege to participate in God's work. Embrace stewardship and accountability. Live lives pleasing to our Creator. Colossians 3:23 KJV states, And whatsoever ye do, do it heartily, as to the Lord, and not unto men. Be a blessing to those around us. Section 1. Modern-day talents. Now, let's bring these timeless principles into the sharp focus of our modern lives. We may not be dealing with literal talents of gold, but the message of the parable resonates just as powerfully today. For the kingdom of heaven is as a man traveling into a far country, who called his own servants and delivered unto them his goods. Matthew 25:14 KJV. Consider the skills and resources you possess. Perhaps you have a knack for technology, a gift for teaching, or a passion for social justice. As every man hath received the gift, even so minister the same one to another, as good stewards of the manifold grace of God. 1 Peter 4:10 KJV. These, my friends, are your modern-day talents, entrusted to you by the same God who bestowed riches upon the servants of old. Moreover, it is required in stewards that a man be found faithful. 1 Corinthians 4:2 KJV. It's not about the scale of your endeavors, but the heart behind them. And whatsoever ye do, do it heartily, as to the Lord, and not unto men. Colossians 3:23 KJV. Are you using your time and skills to make a difference, however small, in the lives of others? Remember the words of Galatians chapter 6 verse 9. And let us not be weary in well-doing, For in due season we shall reap if we faint not. Galatians 6:9, KJV. A kind word, a helping hand, a listening ear. These are all talents we can invest in the lives of those around us. Bear ye one another's burdens, and so fulfill the law of Christ. Galatians 6:2, KJV. The parable reminds us that even the smallest act of faithfulness, when done with a willing heart, can have a ripple effect, bringing light and hope into a world that desperately needs it. Ye are the light of the world. A city that is set on an hill cannot be hid. Matthew 5:14, KJV. The parable of the talents challenges us to think beyond the temporal and invest in what truly matters: eternity. It's not about amassing wealth or accolades for ourselves, but about storing up treasures in heaven where moth and rust cannot destroy. Matthew 6:19-20, KJV. Matthew 6:19-20 reminds us, "Lay not up for yourselves treasures upon earth, where moth and rust doth corrupt, and where thieves break through and steal." Matthew 6:19, KJV. "But lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust doth corrupt, and where thieves do not break through nor steal." Matthew 6:20, KJV. Every act of kindness, every word of encouragement, every effort to share God's love is an investment in eternity. Galatians 6:9, KJV. These are the things that will outlast our earthly existence, the things that will echo through the halls of heaven. 1 Corinthians 13:13, KJV. The parable challenges us to ask ourselves, what kind of legacy are we building? Proverbs 13:22, KJV. Are we living for the here and now, or are we investing in something far greater, something that will have eternal significance? 2 Corinthians 4:18, KJV. As we reflect on the parable of the talents, let us be inspired by the faithful servants who, with diligence and courage, multiplied what was entrusted to them. Matthew 25:14-30, KJV. Their example reminds us that faithfulness is not about perfection, but about perseverance. Galatians 6:9, KJV. There will be challenges along the way, setbacks and disappointments. James 1:2-4, KJV. But the parable encourages us to keep going, to keep investing our talents, knowing that our labor is not in vain in the Lord. 1 Corinthians 15:58, KJV. The legacy we leave behind is not measured by material possessions or worldly success, but by the lives we touch, the love we share, and the difference we make in the world. Matthew 6:19-21, KJV. Let us strive to live lives of purpose, using our God-given talents to bring hope, healing, and joy to all those around us. 1 Peter 4:10, KJV. For in doing so, we not only honor the trust placed upon us, but we also invest in a legacy that will endure for generations to come. Proverbs 13:22, KJV. A legacy of faithfulness that will shine brightly in the annals of eternity. 2 Timothy 4:7-8, KJV. The parable of the talents, though spoken centuries ago, continues to echo through the corridors of time, carrying a message as relevant today as it was then. For the kingdom of heaven is as a man traveling into a far country, who called his own servants and delivered unto them his goods. Matthew 25:14, KJV. It's a story about stewardship, about recognizing the gifts and resources entrusted to us by a loving God and using them wisely for his glory. And unto one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, and to another 1, to every man according to his several ability, and straightway took his journey. Matthew 25:15, KJV. It's a reminder that we are accountable for our actions, or indeed our inaction, and that true fulfillment comes not from hoarding what we have, but from investing it in something far greater than ourselves. His Lord said unto him, Well done, thou good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of thy Lord. Matthew 25:21, KJV. The parable serves as a compass, guiding us towards a life of purpose and meaning. For unto everyone that hath shall be given, and he shall have abundance. But from him that hath not shall be taken away, even that which he hath. Matthew 25:29 KJV. It reminds us that our time on earth is precious, a gift not to be squandered but to be treasured and used to make a difference in the world around us. Watch therefore, for ye know neither the day nor the hour wherein the Son of Man cometh. Matthew 25:13 KJV. Each day presents us with new opportunities to invest our talents, to sow seeds of kindness, generosity, and love. And so he that had received 5 talents came and brought other 5 talents, saying, Lord, thou deliveredst unto me 5 talents. Behold, I have gained beside them 5 talents more. Matthew 25:20 KJV. Let us not shy away from these opportunities, fearing failure or clinging to comfort. His Lord said unto him, Well done, good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of thy Lord. Matthew 25:23 KJV. The parable of the talents is not merely a story to be admired from a distance. It's a call to action. For unto whomsoever much is given, of him shall be much required. Luke 12:48. A challenge to examine our own lives and consider how we are using what we've been given. Every man shall receive his own reward according to his own labor. 1 Corinthians 3:8. Are we burying our talents, allowing fear and complacency to hold us back? But the fearful and unbelieving shall have their part in the lake which burneth with fire and brimstone. Revelation 21:8. Or are we investing them wisely, stepping out in faith, knowing that even small acts of faithfulness can have a profound impact? Well done, thou good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things. Matthew 25:21. The world needs your talents, your unique gifts and abilities. As every man hath received the gift, even so minister the same one to another. 1 Peter 4:10. It needs your compassion, your creativity, your willingness to make a difference. Bear ye one another's burdens, and so fulfill the law of Christ. Galatians 6:2. Don't underestimate the power of a single act of kindness, a word of encouragement. A word fitly spoken is like apples of gold in pictures of silver. Proverbs 25:11. A helping hand extended to someone in need. And let us not be weary in well-doing, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not. Galatians 6:9. These are the investments that truly matter. Lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust doth corrupt. Matthew 6:20. The ones that will bear fruit, not only in this life, but in the life to come. And let us consider one another to provoke unto love and to good works. Hebrews 10:24. The journey of faithfulness is not always easy. For we walk by faith, not by sight. 2 Corinthians 5:7 KJV. There will be challenges, setbacks, and times when we feel like giving up. But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary, and they shall walk and not faint. Isaiah 40:31 KJV. But the parable of the talents reminds us that we are not alone. I will never leave thee, nor forsake thee. Hebrews 13:5 KJV. We serve a God who equips us for the tasks he sets before us. For it is God which worketh in you both to will and to do of his good pleasure. Philippians 2:13 KJV. A God who rejoices when we use our talents for his glory. Well done, thou good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of thy Lord. Matthew 25:21 KJV. He is with us every step of the way, providing guidance, strength, and encouragement. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Psalm 23:1 KJV. Let us therefore walk forward with confidence. I can do all things through Christ which strengtheneth me. Philippians 4:13 KJV, knowing that our labor is not in vain in the Lord. Therefore, my beloved brethren, be ye steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord, for as much as ye know that your labor is not in vain in the Lord. 1 Corinthians 15:58 KJV. Let us embrace the opportunities that come our way. As we have therefore opportunity, let us do good unto all men, especially unto them who are of the household of faith. Galatians 6:10 KJV. Using our talents to make a difference in the world. Let your light so shine before men, that they may see your good works, and glorify your Father which is in heaven. Matthew 5:16 KJV. To bring light into darkness. And the light shineth in darkness, and the darkness comprehended it not. John 1:5 KJV. And to share the love of Christ with all those we encounter. A new commandment I give unto you, that ye love one another, as I have loved you, that ye also love one another. John 13:34 KJV. For in doing so we not only live out the message of the parable of the talents, but be ye doers of the word, and not hearers only, deceiving your own selves. So, James 1:22 KJV. But we also experience the true joy and fulfillment that come from living a life of purpose. The joy of the Lord is your strength. Nehemiah 8:10 KJV. A life surrendered to the one who has entrusted us with so much. Commit thy way unto the Lord. Trust also in him, and he shall bring it to pass. Psalm 37:5 KJV. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell to be the first to see our videos when uploaded. Stay blessed and keep walking in faithfulness.